Hi, welcome back. Today I want to talk a little bit about the a few things that kind of help you understand or helped me understand um, being able to decipher between what was really beneficial um, to me and what wasn't. And what I mean by that, are a lot of the things that are going on right now. And this is probably going to maybe not sit right with, some people, but it has a lot to do with the whole, and I don't like this word. I actually wish I could erase it from my vocabulary, but the whole woke mentality. I almost feel like it's almost embarrassing to even say that because I think it's just something that was used to further divide everyone and keep everyone at odds. But we'll get back to that in a second here. I think where I would like to start is I talked previously in other videos about my different experiences, the clairaudience, clairvoyance, clairsentience, and not really knowing, understand as I was growing up, like what a lot of that meant because I didn't have any family members that had experienced that, or as far as I know, no one in my family had any of these. No one talked about it if they did. So when I would bring up different things or different situations, I was always just told, oh, yeah, no, you're just whatever, it's an imagination type thing or whatever. So, I think over time I tended to, maybe suppress a lot of that. And, a few years ago, I think it had been suppressed long enough. I think it was time. I think I had evolved enough, maybe in the back of my mind, understood that, you know, these these were normal for me, and it was part of who I was. And a couple years ago, I remember, I think when they actually woke up, right, when all of those senses just came back online and said, "Hey, you've suppressed them long enough. You need to start paying attention to them." And I remember that night. It was about 3 a.m. in the morning, and um, I just woke up, and I was literally like my body felt like it was vibrating. Um, I was cold. I had the chills that would not stop. I was cold sweats, dizzy, and I wasn't sick. So I know a lot of people are gonna say, "Oh, you were coming down with something." That it wasn't that, and I know it wasn't that because I know how my body feels when I'm sick, and I know how my body feels, how it felt that night. And it was interesting because I had intense ear ringing. Had my ears were just high pitched sound at that same time, and I started getting all these feelings and all these different thoughts, and just a bunch of information started flooding to me. And I started recollecting a lot of things that happened to me as a child. And when I would experience certain things, I was told no. But then I had this feeling, this thought that you weren't wrong. You were experiencing what you should have been experiencing, and we're back. Um, and you can't suppress it anymore. Like it's here, whether you meant to suppress it or not, or it was an environmental thing. We're done being quiet. And I think that's kind of the feeling that I got. And it lasted, I'd say, somewhere between 45 minutes to maybe 70 minutes. Um, but I remember getting up and just sat on the bathroom floor, and I couldn't stop sweating. I just kept, like I said, I kept recollecting, all these different experiences as a kid, these different visions that I used to have, these different thoughts I had, thinking that I was seeing what I was seeing, or experiencing what I was experiencing, but being told that it wasn't true. Um, and then after that night, like everything changed. So my perspective on the world changed very, very much. Things like politics weren't that important to me anymore. What people thought weren't important to me anymore. What I had versus or what my goals were, where I was in life, seemed to me that it was just not as important as trying to figure out what else is there that I don't understand, what else is there that I don't know, what are all these different things that have been trying to come to me that I haven't been paying attention to. And then I started to recall certain things that happened to me, and it was like, hey, these happened for a reason. You like, welcome back. So kind of fast forward to today, and I talked about this in some previous videos, just about understanding institutionalized religion and how I feel it's meant to suppress us and keep people divided, how it's meant to control us, how it's meant to keep us from expanding our minds and learning about what else is out there. Because once we understand all that, then we know we don't need anybody. And of course, donation stops. So I said this is probably going to maybe be triggering for some, but it is what it is. And if you're not ready to hear it, well, like I said before, you can choose to stop listening, or you can maybe explore what it is. Those questions are that maybe you had or you thought, or continue to listen and maybe it'll settle in. I don't know. That's up to you to decide. But going back to the woke statement I made, I will say, I think it's one of the most divisive movements that have probably been brought to us here, and it's meant to divide everyone. It's meant to play on those that can't see beyond what it is they're being told, and it's meant to frustrate those who they know can see beyond that, but no one will listen to them and no one will see reason. So it's a divisive measure. I truly believe that all of this stuff that we're going through is orchestrated because, you know, you hear a lot of people talk about we're coming into the age of Aquarius now, where Pisces is leaving, and the age of Aquarius is all about understanding and opening up and, you know, people waking up, and they know that's coming. And believe me, that you may not think that it's that big of a deal that people don't know about it, but there are people in control that do know about it, and they're trying to suppress that as long as they can. And I think they're past the point of suppressing it, so now they know we just have to cause as much confusion and disruption as we can to kind of keep everyone distracted. So the whole woke mentality is, you know, keeping people pitted against each other. It's causing a lot of anger. Friendships are being damaged, relationships are being damaged, people are walking away from each other, and that's what keeps the boat afloat for right now. But at some point, it's going to get to a spot where the boat is going to sink, and you can see it, right? I mean, look at what's going on with all of these, you know, situations in the news with some of these higher profile actors, entertainers, and what's going on. Just for, you know, I don't want this to get flagged or anything, so I'm not gonna get too specific in the details. But if you've been watching the news, you understand who's been arrested, who's fleeing, whose family members are coming out and starting to say that they knew things were going on, or other people in the industry or their business is coming out and saying that's why I left. And you know, you hear about these different societies, you know, Red Shoe societies and all this other stuff. So it's all starting to come out, right? Nothing is being hidden anymore. And I think that for everyone, it really needs to just sit back and say, okay, you know, what is true versus what is fiction? And only, I mean, if you're ready to experience it and you're ready to acknowledge it, then you will. That whole mentality of putting us against one another is not going to last for too much longer. I don't feel like it is. I think we're at a tipping point, and I think, you know, everyone, if you're not seeing through a lot of BS, I know, I mean, I look on social media, I see different posts, I see everybody is starting to understand what's going on, how they're starting to use race as a division, how they use gender as division, you know, how there's lying, there's manipulation everywhere, right? And like I said, if you don't see it, you're probably not in tune to it yet. You probably will be soon, within the next year or so. I think it's going to maybe become a little bit more aware to some of you, but there's a lot of you out there. I mean, I noticed it about 2 years ago, so 2-3 years ago, I started seeing through a lot of that, and there was just a small portion. And when I say small, I mean just in my circle, there was a lot of us that are like, wow, when people start waking up to this, it's going to be huge, because it's going to turn everything upside down, and it's slowly starting to pivot up to, you know, to that point where you can slowly start seeing the ship is starting to turn over, and it's sinking, and they're trying all they can to keep it from sinking. So my my thought is to everyone, um, believe none of what you hear and half of what you see. Spend some time in some quiet, alone time, whether it's outside, by a lake, sitting in your house, whatever it is. Put on some noise canceling headphones and just clear your mind and just wait and see what pops in your mind. See what type of revelations come to you. What type of thoughts you have. Things will start to become clear. I think this video was more of just about that point for me when everything shifted and I started to understand what was really important and what wasn't important, and then being able to see through all of the BS. So I can spot bullshit a mile away. I can spot a person who is not beneficial in a positive way, who maybe might be battling some inner energies that are not very good. I can pick up on it right away. I see it. I'm aware. I know who to avoid. I know who I can talk to, who I can't talk to, and I think more and more people are starting to feel that way. Um, I would say just try to level set, try to understand. Look into, do a little bit of research on your own. Don't take the first thing you see. Don't believe the first thing you hear. Um, I don't trust any media outlets at all. Doesn't matter whether they're liberal, conservative, in the middle. There isn't a such thing. One thing we all have to understand, especially with politicians, don't trust a politician. Don't think any of them have any of our best interests in mind. That's my opinion. And there's several things that we can spot that could back that up. What we've seen, which just in the last probably 6 months, but you got to remember, right? They're all on the same team. So with politicians specifically, they all work for one entity, right? They're part of the government. And to me, I look at all of the politicians as being a football team or a baseball team. Um, you're having your practice, and half the team wears this color jersey and half the team wears that color jersey, and they play against each other. But at the end of the day, they're just trying to make each other better. They're just trying to work and hone on their skills and solidify and tighten down themselves as a team. And that's the way I see the government. There's no other way in my mind to see them. They are on the same team. They're just wearing different colored jerseys. And at the end of the day, their goal is all the same. Um, it's to enrich themselves, and it's to there's a reason why we're still at war, right? War is profitable, and as long as we're fighting, people are making money, and as long as the world is at odds, and all the stuff that's going on, there's another reason why. You look at the hurricanes that hit in North Carolina just recently, and you look at the devastation in Florida from the last hurricane that hit. When we're giving hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars to other countries, and we won't even take care of the people that don't have electricity or water or food, there's a problem. And you have to ask yourself why. Why is it that we're so interested, not us, them? Why are they so vested in handing over, hundreds of millions, billions of dollars to the Ukraine, billions of dollars, to Israel, to Syria, Congo, Libya, like all these other countries are getting. You can find it. It's online. You can see how much money they gave away last year, and this year is probably 3 or 4 times as much to some of those areas. But yet, we have people here that can't afford to buy food, they live paycheck to paycheck. We have hurricanes and natural disasters. And what do they say? It's climate change. Oh, well, if you would just stop driving gas vehicles, if you stop using gas grills, if you stop using gas stoves, then we wouldn't have these issues, right? Do you understand the division that's there? You understand what the point I'm trying to make with all this? So regardless of whether or not it's climate change, is climate change real? I don't know. That's for everybody to kind of, that's your opinion. Whether some of the thoughts of it are man-made or not doesn't really matter. the idea of the blame game and no one accepting responsibility is what everyone really needs to see. And as you start to open up and you put aside um, some of the differences and some of the crap and stuff, the BS that's being thrown out there, you'll start to see a little bit more clearly. But I think if we spend more time, like I said, a little in some quietness, just thinking and not having, our eyes on pasted to social media, scrolling, and we formulate our own opinions and we see what's really there and what's really causing, all of this uptick and all of this frustration. Um, the sooner we're going to get to where we need to be, and it's not going to be an easy path. It's going to be pretty difficult to get there. But the more people that start to understand and start to stand up and will not allow that type of behavior, the sooner we're gonna be better for it. So um, anyway, this was probably something a little bit more than I thought about I was going to get into. It was just more about how I experienced my, I would say, initial reawakening. Probably, I think I'd always been awake, but I suppressed it for a very long time. I let too many things get in the way, and then, like I said, most of it was probably environmental. But man, they came back online with a vengeance, and ever since then, my life has a lot of things have become a lot more clear to me. What I look for, what I avoid, who I communicate with, who I don't communicate with. Um, it's it's been extremely helpful. So anyway, interested to hear what you think. If you have any questions, anything like that, go ahead and drop them in the comments. And until next time, take it easy.